On hearing it, King Hezekiah tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and entered the house of Adonai. He sent Eliakim, who was in charge of the household, Shebna the general secretary, and the leading Kohanim covered with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz. They said to him, "This is what Hezekiah says. Today is a day of trouble, rebuke, and disgrace. Children are ready to be born, but there is no strength to bring them to birth. Maybe Adonai your God will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom his master the king of Ashur has sent to taunt the living God, and rebuke the message which Adonai your God has heard. So pray for the remnant that is left." When King Hezekiah's servants came to Yeshayahu, he said to them, "Tell your master that this is what Adonai says. Don't be afraid of the words you heard the servants of the king of Ashur use to insult me. I will put a spirit in him that will make him hear a rumor and return to his own land. Then I will cause him to die by the sword in his own land." Rabshakeh returned, and having heard that the king of Ashur had left Lachish, found him making war with Libnah. Then he heard said that Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, was on his way to fight him. On hearing this, the king of Ashur sent messengers to Hezekiah, ordering them, "This is what you are to say to Hezekiah, king of Yehudah. Don't let your God in whom you trust deceive you by saying, 'Jerusalem will not be handed over to the power of the king of Ashur.' You have heard what the kings of Ashur have done to all the lands. They have completely destroyed them. So how will you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them? No, my ancestors destroyed them. Gozan, Haran, Rethziph, and the people of Eden who were in Telsar. Where is the king of Hamath, the king of Arpad, the king of the city of Sepharvaim, of Hena and Eva?" Hezekiah took the letter from the messenger's hands and read it. Then Hezekiah went up out of the house of Adonai and spread it out before Adonai. This is the prayer of Hezekiah who prayed to Adonai. "Adonai Svaot, God of Israel, whom dwells above the cherubim, you alone are God of all the kingdoms of earth. You made heaven and earth. Turn your ear, Adonai, and hear. Open your eyes, Adonai, and see. Hear all the words of Sancheriv, sent to taunt the living God. Is it true that the kings of Ashur have laid waste all the countries of their lands, and have thrown their gods into the fire? For those were non-gods, merely the products of the people's hands, wood and stone. This is why they could destroy them. Now therefore, Adonai our God, save us from his power, so all the kingdoms on earth will know that you are Adonai, you only." Then Yeshayahu the son of Amoz sent this message to Hezekiah. "Adonai the God of Israel says, you prayed to me against Sancheriv the king of Ashur. Here is what Adonai's answer concerning him. The virgin daughter of Zion despises you. She laughs you to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem shakes her head at you, whom you have taunted and insulted, against whom you have raised your voice and haughtily lifted your eyes, the Holy One of Israel. Through your servants you taunted Adonai. You said, 'With my many chariots I have ascended the mountain heights, even in the far reaches of the Lebanon. I cut down its tall cedars, its best cypress trees. I reached its remotest heights and its best forests. I dug wells and drank the water. The soles of my soldiers' feet dried up all the rivers of Egypt. Haven't you heard? Long ago I made it. In antiquity I produced it. Now I'm making it happen. You are turning fortified cities into heaps of ruins, while their inhabitants, shorn of power, are disheartened and ashamed, weak as grass, frail as plants, like grass on the rooftops, or grain scorched by the east wind. But I know when you sit, when you leave, when you enter, when you rage against me. Because your rage is against me, because your pride that has reached my ears, I am putting a hook in your nose and a bridle in your lips, and I will make you return by the way which you came. This will be a sign for you, people of Israel. This year you will eat the grain that grows of itself. The second year you will eat the grain that grows from that. But in the third year you will sow, reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Meanwhile, the remnant of the house of Yehuda will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For the remnant will go out of Jerusalem, thus those escaping will go out from Mount Zion. The zeal of Adonai Sabaoth will accomplish this. Therefore, this is what Adonai says concerning the king of Ashur. He will not come to this city or even shoot an arrow there. He will not confront it with a shield or erect earthworks against it. By the way which he came, he will return, and he will not come to this city, says Adonai. For I will defend this city and save it, both for my own sake and for the sake of David. Then the angel of Adonai went out and struck down 185,000 men in the camp of Ashur. Early the next morning, there they were, all of them, corpses, dead. So Sancheriv, king of Ashur, left, went, and returned to live in Nineveh. On that day, he was worshipping in the temple of Nisroch, his god. His sons, Adrammelech and Shartzer, struck him with the sword and escaped into the land of Arad. So his son Esarhaddon took his place as king. Around this time, Hezekiah became ill to the point of death. Yeshayahu, the prophet, the son of Amoz, came and said to him, Here is what Adonai says, put your house in order, because you're going to die. You will not live. Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to Adonai. I plead with you, Adonai. Remember now how I have lived before you truly and wholeheartedly, and now I have done what you see as good. And he cried bitter tears. Then the word of Adonai came to Yeshayahu. Go and tell Hezekiah that this is what Adonai, the God of David, your ancestor, says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. Therefore, I will add 15 years to your life. Also, I will rescue you from this city, from the power of the king of Ashur. I will defend this city. The sign for you from Adonai that Adonai will do this, as he said, is this: I will cause the shadow of the sundial, which has started going down on the sundial of Achaz, to go backward 10 intervals. So the sun went back 10 intervals. In the distance, it had already gone down. After Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, been ill and recovered, he wrote the following. I once said in the prime of my life, I am going off to the gates of Sheol. I am being deprived of living out the full span of my life. I said I will never again see Yah in the land of the living. I will look on human beings no more, or be with those who live in this world. My home is uprooted and taken away from me like a shepherd's tent. Like a weaver, I have rolled up my life. He cuts me off from the loom. Between day and night, you could finish me off. I try to be strong like a lion till morning, but still my illness breaks all my bones. Between day and night, you could finish me off. I make little chatter sounds like a swallow. I moan loud like a dove. My eyes are weary of looking upward. Adonai, I am overwhelmed. Guarantee my life. What is there that I can say? He has spoken to me and acted. I will humbly all my years, remembering how bitter I was. Adonai, by these things people live. All these is the life of my spirit. You are restoring my health and giving me life. Though instead of peace, I felt bitterly. You desired my life and preserved it from the nothingness pit. You threw all my sins behind your back. Sheol cannot thank you. Death cannot praise you. These descending to the pit cannot hope for your truth. The living, they can thank you as I do today. Fathers will make their children know about your faithfulness. Adonai is ready to save me. Hence, he will make our stringed instruments sound all the days of our life in the house of Adonai. Then Yeshayahu said, have them take a fig plaster and apply it to my inflammation, and he will recover. Hezekiah asked, what sign will there be that I will be able to go up to the house of Adonai? Mordach, Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Bavel, heard that Hezekiah had been ill and had recovered. So he sent a letter and a gift to him. Hezekiah was praised with the gifts and showed the messengers all the buildings where he kept his treasures, including the silver, gold, spices, precious oils. Also, all the buildings where he kept the armor, everything in his treasury. There was nothing in the palace or in his entire domain that Hezekiah did not show them. Then Yeshayahu the prophet came to King Hezekiah and asked him, "What did these men say? Where did they come from?" Hezekiah answered, "They came to me from a distant country, Babel." Yeshayahu asked, "What have they seen in your palace?" "They have seen everything in my palace," said Hezekiah. "There isn't a thing among my treasures that I haven't showed them." Yeshayahu said to Hezekiah, "Hear what Adonai Tzvaot says. The day will come when everything in your palace, along with everything your ancestors stored up until today, will be carried off to Babel. Nothing will be left, says Adonai. They will carry off some of your descendants, your own offspring, and they will make eunuchs serving in the palace of the king above all." Hezekiah said to Yeshayahu, "Word of Adonai, which you have just told me, is good," because he thought, "At least peace and truth will come during my lifetime."